Hello, All Saints families.
Happy Eagle Day.
As is tradition, as we come to the end of another week, we want to take a few minutes to share some highlights and also give you some updates as to some things that we're planning for the future. As announced in this week's newsletter, we did confirm that the last day for pre-kindergarten will be Friday, May 29th. The last day for our 8th graders will be Friday, June 5th. The last day for kindergarten, Thursday, June 11th. And the final day for grades 1 through 7 is Friday, June 12th. And with that said, I want to take a couple of minutes to address our 8th graders in particular. We know that this is a very special year for them. And some of them have been in our schools since pre-kindergarten, which means they've been at All Saints for 10 years. And other students, of course, have joined us, along the way. And whether they've been in our program for a couple of years or 10 years, we want to celebrate their successful conclusion at All Saints. And there are so many beautiful traditions that provide us that opportunity each year. And so it's difficult during this time of closure that we're not going to be able to have some of those events as we have in the past. So per my announcement on Wednesday, we are beginning to look at creative ways to acknowledge and to celebrate our 8th graders virtually. It remains to be seen whether or not we'll be able to have an in-person graduation event over the summer. We certainly want to follow the guidance of the state and our diocese, but we remain hopeful that at some point we may be able to do that. And speaking of plans, Mrs. Horgan has a couple of updates as to some activities for the last couple of weeks of school.
Absolutely. One of the most exciting parts of the end of our year is Field Day. And we are looking forward to Mr. Redmond coming out with some plans about how we can virtually together celebrate Field Day on June 1st. We also are excited to look at each grade hosting a virtual field trip for our students on June 2nd. That's going to be a really unique experience and also a fun way to close out the year. More details will be coming next week about that.
And speaking of next week, as announced earlier, a few days ago, Bishop Burbage will be celebrating a special Mass for families of all parish schools throughout our diocese. We'd like to remind you that that will take place at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, May 6th, and that will be live streamed from the Cathedral of St. Thomas More. We hope that you'll be able to join us for that very special liturgy.
We also hope that all students will participate in our Race for Education virtually while practicing safe social distancing practices on May 8th. We encourage everyone to get outside and run for our Race for Education.
Next week is also National Teacher Appreciation Week, as well as National Nurses Appreciation Day. And so we encourage our students to write messages of support and gratitude to our teachers and to our nurse, and also to prepare spiritual bouquets. So the messages will be submitted on Monday, and then the spiritual bouquets presented on Wednesday electronically. Certainly our faculty and staff, they work so hard. Our teachers are so dedicated, as is our nurse. But during this time of the pandemic, we can see the level of their commitment, the way that they have been able to adapt and to be flexible, and more than anything, to communicate care and concern for their students and the families who are part of our community. So we do invite and encourage you to express your gratitude to our wonderful faculty next week. Also, we're beginning to think about plans for the summer, and the question of the summer learning program has come up. As I've thought about that myself, I recognize that everybody's been working so hard with e-learning that it would seem to make sense that we just take the summer off and not even have a summer learning program. And yet I've gotten feedback from some parents who have said, Mr. Conroy, it might be helpful to have something for the students to work on, not at the rate of e-learning, which is 3 or 4 hours a day, but activities that they could participate in, whether it's reading or review of math over the course of the summer. And I thought that was helpful feedback. But we're not sure what's going to be the right fit this year because we're in uncharted waters. And so we're going to send a survey out to school parents early next week to explore a couple of different options. And we would invite your feedback as to whether you would prefer our traditional approach to summer learning, whether you would appreciate a modified approach by which maybe there are optional activities. Maybe you would prefer that we focus on social emotional learning for our students. We'll also include an open narrative question by which you can share other ideas. Most importantly, we want you to know that we recognize that this continues to be a very challenging time for families, and we want to ask you how we can continue to partner with you during the summer months and support you and your children. So look for that survey early next week. Well, as we start to come to a close, Mrs. Horgan, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
That is there a particular moment, is there something special that you experienced within our school community this week that you might like to share?
There is. I believe that the most special thing for me this week was sitting in on several Zoom meetings and hearing the children's voices. They were so incredibly excited to speak out and to see their teachers through live streaming. And I think that seeing my own children participate was incredibly exciting for them as they have not been able to see their friends or hear their teachers' voices say their names. And it was incredible to watch their faces light up as they enjoyed that experience. And I want to commend all of the teachers who have been doing the Zoom meetings, because it really promoted confidence in the children and excitement and a renewed passion for the learning that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that you experienced, a special moment, Mr. Conroy?
There is, and it's similar to what you shared. It relates to that whole notion of connection. So as I've been speaking with parents this past week, there have been a couple of opportunities where the parents have put their phone on speaker, and I've had a chance to speak with their children as well, and just hearing their voices has been wonderful. And I learned something from them. I read years ago that when you're speaking on the phone with someone, if you smile when you're speaking, they can actually sense that through the phone. And the students I spoke with proved that. I mean, I could hear them smiling through the phone, and I have every confidence that they could hear me smiling back. So connecting with students, that was, for me, the highlight of the week. And I look forward to more of that in the weeks ahead.
Boy, I sure miss them. I sure miss them a lot.
Absolutely. Mrs. Horgan, any final reminders as we wrap up this week?
Yes, please, students, remember to submit to development@allsaintsva.org what you miss most about All Saints. That can be in the form of a picture, a sentence, a paragraph, or a Lego creation or a Play-Doh creation. So be creative, be unique, and submit that this Thursday.
Thank you, Mrs. Horgan. We hope that everybody enjoys the weekend. The forecast for tomorrow is beautiful, sunshine in the 70s, so it's an opportunity to get outside and enjoy some fresh air. Of course, social distancing as always, but we hope you enjoy the weekend. Stay safe.
Be well, and remember,
With God,
all things are possible.